Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you, aka VHS82 apostrophe, with my ongoing X-Files series into season 2, episode 13, entitled Irresistible. Our first of two, featuring Donnie Pfaster, of course, the villain we love to hate, who has a little bit too much of an affinity with the dead. We'll get into that. January 13th, 1995, it drops. David Nutter at the helm again, and this time, love it, man. Love it when we see that Chris Carter is the one who had written, and what a great team those two have made already. This is an interesting episode. One, again, it's the first of two. The second will come season 7, episode 5. Entitled Orison, when we'll get to revisit Donnie Pfaster. He is a serial killer in this, loosely somewhat based kind of, I guess, on a Jeffrey Dahmer, that kid from Wisconsin, as he is alluded to in by Agent Mo Box, who will play a pretty pivotal role. He's played by Bruce Weitz. Pretty pivotal role he'll play alongside both Mulder and Scully. But the standout here, I think it's got to be Nick Chinlund, who plays Donnie Pfaster. Man, what a creepy dude. Now, this episode's interesting because Carter's original intention, as he wrote, wanted it to be a straight-up necrophilia type, necromancy type, just really dark, edgy stuff. But 20th Century Fox, apparently the studio did not want to go that dark, and there had to be some sort of supernatural element. It couldn't be as to the core as he was wanting it. They just weren't going to do it for regular TV. And now a lot has changed, for better or worse, since then, in terms of what you can get away with, what you don't get away with. Maybe today you could probably get away with an episode like this of the X-Files, but back then it just wasn't going to happen. And so he had to kind of split the road a little bit. You get some really creepy moments, and that's where Nick Chinlund really, where and it's not that the script lacks, it's just that the script is not what it was originally intended to be. And so, but he still brings an air of extreme creepiness to that, especially in the opening scene when we first meet him, and he is an assistant director to a funeral home. A poor little girl has just been laid to rest, and here we are in the middle of the night, and the director is about to check out and realizes, wait a minute, someone's down here. Who is down here? Comes to find out Donnie's down there with a pair of scissors, and he has been chopping up the hair of this girl. And he is, very quickly run out of there. But he is a sort of like a death fetishist who is only continuing to get worse in terms of what he needs to fill that craving, I guess, that really sick part. And so, by the time Agent Mulder and Scully show up, of course, you have a grave that's been unearthed, and this is extremely unsettling to Scully. And I have to say, this is just Gillian Anderson. This is just another feat of acting from her. You really do get this sense that, well, one, she has not gotten over her near-death experience. There's some post-traumatic stuff going on here, and she is rattled to the core. And ultimately, she will fall victim by the end of it to Donnie Pfaster, and it will put her about as close to being a victim of his as you could possibly get, and with surviving, right? And which ultimately lends to one of the great final closing moments of any X-Files. And one, like, if you're really, if you're sold out on this like I am, you can't help but just your eyes start to well up, and you really do feel she sells it great in this, especially at the end, man. Especially at the end. So they're there basically. They get called by Agent Box to. He thinks this is an extraterrestrial, sort of like cattle mutilation or whatnot, and Mulder quickly sort of shrugs that off, to the disappointment of Box, who I think was kind of hoping maybe for something this crazy, because the alternative is just something you don't want to deal with, right? And that kind of gets hit on quite a bit. The idea of having a guy like Donnie Pfaster running around is, this is the community that's just not used to these types of things. As he mentions, this is a type of community that still, even now, at least at the point of this episode, still go to sleep at night with the doors unlocked and stuff, windows open. And I'm not really sure who does that anymore today, although I'm sure there's enough small towns out there where people still feel safe, and boy, I would love to live in one of those again. Not that where I live is that threatening, but I mean, still, yeah. Anyway, so they get called into this, and Scully's sort of taken back a little bit, just at the idea that, knowing this probably wasn't a cattle mutilation type or extraterrestrial. She's sort of taken back that Mulder would actually take this, but he is, got the gift of sizing things up pretty quick, and so he has basically a mental sketch idea of what they're probably looking for, and the fact that this guy, he believes is probably going to notch it up and actually not be content with the dead, but maybe perhaps begin to kill, which is exactly what he is going to do. There are some moments in here that are just so creepy. I mean, you get, where he is taken up as a delivery person, and he, he's in this house where he's been welcomed into this house. He's in the bathroom and he's going through the garbage can looking for, like hair and stuff like that. She has creepy stuff, man. It's just to think that there's a great moment where he's taking a night class, right? And so this is, where he is just starting to become reckless. And he comes on to this girl out in the parking lot late at night after this class, and she is able to fight him off. And there he is actually arrested. But there's another poor guy in another cell just down the way a little bit, who is being interrogated by both Mulder and Scully and Box. And of course, as Scully is walking right by Donnie Pfaster, she just sells it, man. She just gets so creeped out, like there is something wrong with this. Now, part of the supernatural element is there will be moments where, be it Scully's nightmares that she's starting to have, there'll be moments where the victims will begin to see Donnie sort of shapeshift a bit, and of course one of these is a demon-like outline of something horrific. And I didn't know this, but going into the production notes in Wikipedia, apparently, I did not know this about Jeffrey Dahmer, but apparently some of the victims testified that they seemed to be in the thought process that while they were a victim of his, or being held by him, that they saw this shape-shifting quality in him, that he would somehow change his facial look and everything, and that. It doesn't surprise me in a sense, but it does in a way that I've never heard that before. And so again, this is kind of a weird look at Jeffrey Dahmer, I guess. Ultimately, once Donnie has his eye catches Scully, of course, he's got to have her, and so that ultimately, of course, leads us to the point where she actually leaves and goes back to Washington in order to do a more thorough examination of one of the victims to try to find a fingerprint, which they do. They're successful, and so she does come back. After there's a moment where she sees the therapist, and she's just trying to deal with some of this heavy hitting stuff. And when she comes back, of course, Donnie is waiting, knows she's coming, and ends up running her off the road and then kidnaps her. But by now, we've already had the raid on his house. Once she has sent the fingerprint, of course, they jump on it. Almost Silence of the Lambs-esque way, right? But he is hiding out in his mom's old place. And apparently, he got the car as well. And his mom has since passed on. And he's hiding out at the house with Scully and, making her up the bath. We didn't really talk about that. Kind of a creepy side of this. And ultimately leads to our final confrontation between Scully and him, which sees both of them taking quite a fall down the staircase. And ultimately, Mulder and Box, and I think a few others, come to the rescue at the closing seconds. And that takes us right up to that moment where initially her defense mechanism, kicks in, and she's sort of like, I'm all right. And then she kind of like pauses, and that's where you just get caught, man. You get caught looking into her eyes as an actress. You can't help but be just swept away by the emotion. And it's one of those few moments, and there are more than not, but this is one of those moments, man, that just really just tugs on you, and she just breaks down. And it's a moment where you haven't seen since the pilot episode, where Mulder just grabs hold of her and just holds her tight. And it's such a genuine moment, and we'll see these moments throughout the X-Files. And I think it's just why I think it's just why the X-Files went on for so many seasons. There were so many genuine moments to be had, and it was, this is one of those. And it's just, wow. It really just takes your breath away. And again, there are moments too, again, in this episode, like last week's, where Mulder, David Duchovny, man, he'll get this look in his face, and he'll just kind of like look off at someone, and he'll just have this expression. It's like, there's this is a rare quality of actors, that they can just sell so much. And just, it's like McCready in The Thing, man, when he gets asked to take the chopper up, and he just sort of kind of looks up, looks at the clouds, and he just has that look. He's got sunglasses on, but he just sells it. He totally sells the moment. And Duchovny he always seems to sell the moment as well as Gillian Anderson and so many of the others who we'll come to know much better, like Skinner. We'll come to know, and Skinner will have some powerful moments as well, and he already has, actually, since he's kind of been brought back or brought into this mix, right? And just a great episode in terms of character development, and just getting to a little bit of a more intimate, connective feel with the character of Scully via just the incredible acting of Gillian Anderson. And this is just a really touching episode, and you really do fear for her as a character. You feel for her life, and you just feel as though her life is in extreme jeopardy, and you don't want to happen to her what has happened to all these other poor girls, those who unfortunately were already dead and then violated in the most extreme way. And there is a lot more going on here too, that normal, just regular TV was not going to allow Chris Carter to even really get too close. So there is a lot working under the surface that you just sort of have to take for granted. It's just how sick and depraved this individual was. But that is not Jeffrey Dahmer. And again, we see a few things in the refrigerator as well. So not like a completely detailed look at his character, but enough to just get this idea that, yeah, you just did not want to fall victim, or you don't want to fall victim to any nut job like this. But anyways, so Irresistible, episode 13. I think, let me see here. We got, yes, I'm not even going to try to say it, but I think it has to do with a town where some murders have been happening, and there's a bunch of devil worshippers. Welcome to the X-Files. So I'm looking forward to revisiting that one as well, which will be probably very soon, I would imagine. So here we are, episode 13 of season 2, Irresistible, 1 of 2, involving our character Donnie Pfaster. And man, what an episode! What an episode! As always, we end these things off with Go Bills.
This is not a dream. Not a dream. might be useful to you.